Hi, guys, and welcome to the second episode of Crick Vidya CPL podcast, where we do a weekly roundup of all the matches that have happened during the week in the CPL and try to analyze those matches and see who is doing well and how is it looking for each of the teams. And finally, we also discuss the common players that are there in IPL and CPL. So, as similar to last time, I'm joined by my two guests, Abhay from Crick Nordic and Manju Nath. Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So, what we'll do is we'll quickly just go through the matches that have happened during the week. And in case you guys have some points to discuss, we will have a short discussion on the matches and then move to a more general discussion on teams and different aspects of CPL. So, the week, I think this was last Saturday. The matches started with St. Lucia Zouks versus St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. So it was more of a one-sided encounter where St. Lucia were able to do to put up a above par score thanks to Fletcher, Dayal and Nabi, and they posted 172 for 6. And the main factor here, I think, was the last 2 overs where they were able to get 32 runs, and that propelled their score to something that was uh, very much above par. And when St. Kitts started to bat, I think they were choked down in the middle overs. They had from 11 to 16, 7 overs for just 37 runs. And I think that's where they could not accelerate and they were not able to chase down the total. So I think the match also probably got over when Dunk fell in the 10th over, and they were not really there after that. So, any points to add, guys? Manju?
Yeah, Kugeline was important in this game, and all through the CPL, he's been doing having a few strategies like to go about his work. So he's been bowling more into the body of the batsman, and he's also able to slip in the odd outswinger and the other slower deliveries. So he has been a good find for Zooks to start the innings. So he
Yeah.
gives the control along with Nabi. So it's a good combination.
So this was the match where he got short pitch deliveries and got the two players out, right?
Yes, yes.
Uh, yeah.
Yes, and he also did the same against Guyana, like
Right.
getting Hetmeyer out with a short pitched ball. I think that's where it really started for him.
Hmm. And Chase was actually got Lewis, Joshua, and Dunk out. So that was very critical for while they were bowling. So I think Kugeline and Chase were the nemesis for them when they were bowling. So anything else, guys?
No, quite a similar story for St. Kitts, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just
So
the catch up they're doing
And
with all the teams.
their problems are continuing. Like they are thin in the middle order. Finisher role is not well defined. Ramdin is more like an anchor. And again, like if Lewis fires, they have a good chance. That's what it is.
I think the only match they won that is because of
Yes.
Lewis only, right?
Lewis made the
And
85. Otherwise,
yeah,
quite less.
and then Dunk
Yeah.
was able to actually just finish it off.
Yeah, finish it off.
Yeah. Tanveer and Lynn's bad form is also making it worse for them, I would say.
Yeah, I think openers, almost all teams are having that opener issue somehow in this tournament, where we actually thought that new ball could be the time to make runs. That is actually not happening.
Yeah.
So let's see. So we moved to match 8, which was Guyana Amazon Warriors versus Jamaica Taliwas. So this was a interesting match, low scoring match where Guyana was able to just make 118, and Mujib and Lami Chane were actually able to uh,
Yeah.
bowled really well and were instrumental along with Brathwaite to bundle them out for 118. But the same thing happened to Jamaica also. So their entire top order actually failed, and they were left to do a catch-up game. And I think they were virtually out of the game only. Even the Russell innings was actually just minimizing the loss rather than trying to make them win. So, and they were 4 for 3 uh, in, I think, the third or fourth over. So I think that the match was lost there only. And also another point to note is that Jamaica actually gave away a lot of extras in this match. 11 wides were bowled. So I think that became critical if you look at the whole match story.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Abhay?
that's a really good point. I think my reflection is that I as a fan, I don't see Russell motivated enough for Jamaica. Yeah, he did strike form, so we all felt that okay, now we will see Russell show in the tournament, and then he got injured from the next match onwards. So, and I hear stories when he plays for KKR that he can come on one leg as well. So
Yeah.
I really
And he
think
made a
that
statement also that there is something wrong with Jamaica. They have a strained management, and so he has been vocal about that fact. So I think that chemistry between the team is not really adding up here.
sure. I think Powell
Basically,
is doing a great job. He's really trying his best. And as a fan, I still feel bad because okay, he's stuck with them this in this tournament, and probably he should do his best at least for this tournament.
right. No, the Chris Gale saga which happened before, like he came
Yeah.
out with a series of Instagram alleged trying to expose the franchise, and he also dragged Andre Russell into it. So I don't know how smart that was, because it seems to have affected their performance a bit at
Yeah.
least, because such things do affect a franchise. So we'll hope that they get their act together. That's all we can say.
They do have a lot of firepower in the batting. It's a bit brittle, but the bowling, and not to, I don't want to forget Fidel Edwards.
Yeah.
He's making a comeback at 38. He's bowling so well. Mujib and Sandeep, but still they're almost at the bottom of the table. So it's very surprising, and I think it's the same factor which we just spoke about, this saga which happened before the tournament between Sarwan and Gale.
Yeah. And Green actually captained them quite well in this match. I really liked his captaincy. He got Hemraj also in for a one quick over. He was able to get that critical wicket of Asif Ali, and also so that was critical. And the way he managed his spinners, I think that actually after just scoring 118. He could have actually given up and not really thought of that we can win. But I really liked his captaincy and aggressive approach.
He comes with a great spirit at in the pre-match conference as well. Like for the toss, comes with a great spirit. Like like the attitude is always like, okay, we are here and we'll start winning from today. So even though they end up losing sometimes, comes with a great spirit. So I agree with you. He seems to be a good captain at least. And if I'm not wrong, from this match itself, it was like everybody started bowling spinners right from the start, and
Yeah.
it was all spin, and pace was just to complement spinners.
Yeah. And one over actually made a difference where batting first, Guyana was able to get 24 runs in their second over. So if you look at the context of the match and the amount of runs scored, I think that was a very critical over for Guyana.
Right.
So we move to the next match. Ninth match was TKR versus Barbados. So TKR actually have been the standout performer of the tournament, and this time also they were able to get a score which was actually way above par, and all their players actually entire middle order came good. Munro scoring a 50, Bravo also getting a 54, and then Pollard striking form with 41 of 17 balls. So even when they were scored only 45 runs in power play, they were able to get to 185. So which was really impressive. And then BT actually did not really have that firepower in them to chase down the total. Plus, the spinners actually uh, choked them. Sunil Narayan and Fawad were able to uh, gave away only 31 runs in 8 overs. And if you add the third spinner as well, so 10 overs for just 50 runs. So then remaining 10 overs, 136 runs was never really possible. So, but I think Barbados batting has actually not really clicked. And for me, Hope has also been a drag for them in most matches. Anchor's role is important, but I think with others not clicking, if you look at the scorecard, it actually seems like a negative. Any thoughts, Abe?
Yeah, so yeah, as you said, Barbados have been brittle. I believe Charles started really well in this match. He was striking it quite well. So they had a chance, but then, as you said, spinners just dragged it down, and Hope hasn't given any hope to
Yeah.
Barbados till now,
Yeah.
because uh, I think he was a very good batsman in the ODI format, and he's played T20s also for West Indies. If I'm not wrong, maybe not. He played ODIs for sure. So he scored quite well. He was making centuries. He doesn't look the same guy right now after the English series. And yeah, so I think the batting is quite brittle overall. If you see,
Yeah.
anybody's walking in at any time, and it's not very clear. So I hope they qualify, but I don't know. It seems difficult right now.
Manju, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was seeing that day. Yeah, I was seeing that day Shea Hope's innings in Headingley, the 2017 Test match against England. So it looks like his long lost brother is batting in the CPL. So I really can't identify that, who is who.
Yeah.
So is it a case of him trying to be someone else, trying to be like a hitter and trying to clear the field, because that is not his strong suit. His strong suit is he finds the gaps and he has intelligent way of keeping his strike rate up. So I don't know. Maybe he has to rethink his strategy for T20s.
Yeah, another 120 strike rate is good enough for him. 110, 120, especially when these low scoring games, he definitely has a role to play.
Yes,
So another thing that I noticed was
exactly.
that actually Santner didn't come to bowl till 17th over when Trinbago was batting, and maybe the main reason could be Munro and the left-handers that were batting. So do you think that this is so important that captains are actually holding up such a good bowler because left-handers are batting?
I don't know.
So actually,
I think it's a balance. I would say because what happens is uh, that some players, some teams are really winning on that basis. Like, okay, if off spinners to left-handers and left arm spinners to the right-handers, it's working for Zooks. So I think everybody's following that trend, but
yeah.
I don't know, if you have a good bowler, then you should make him bowl as well.
Manju, your thoughts?
If you tell this to Bishan Bedi, he will laugh at all of us. So he was one guy who used to bowl equally well or even better to left-handers, and like in the 60s he has troubled the left-handers of Australia and New Zealand and picked up wickets against them. So I don't know, this could be a recent theory, but
It is a
really it
recent
is
theory.
anybody's guess, because I don't think yeah yeah, and considering that nowadays all off spinners also have the ball which goes away from the right hander, and also others. So then I don't think it's worth holding back a bowler who's bowling well just because there are left handers at the crease. So it is highly debatable strategy.
Yeah. So let's move to the 10th match then. This was St. Lucia Zooks versus Guyana Amazon Warriors. So St. Lucia batted first, and Roston Chase actually was the main performer for them, 66 of 51 balls, and helped them reach par or a little above par score of 144. And then Guyana's batting actually could not stand up to its reputation, and the entire top order failed, and they were not able to chase down the total. So, what are your thoughts about their batting and batting order? Uh, so, quite inconsistent these players, because if you look at their reputation, Hetmeyer, Taylor, Puran, Rutherford, King, the top scorer last time. So, but they're not actually able to perform as a cohesive unit and give a regular and a consistent performance. Manju?
Yeah, between these batsmen, it like so far in this tournament, Hetmeyer has adjusted well to the slow wickets, but the others, even Ross Taylor to a certain extent, but the others seem to have their timing is off due to the slowness of the pitch. So now recently, when that Jamaica game was there, the 114 game, there were a lot of cries saying that the pitch is not prepared well, so it's not good enough and all. So I don't know whether these are just excuses or they can definitely be a factor. Like if you have these hard hitters who like true bounce, like similar example is someone like Darcy Short, who came to India after such a beautiful BBL. He was just unable to get his timing going initially. So it took him till the 10th or 11th game to actually get the grip of an Indian wicket. So that could also be one factor.
Yeah. I think this match could haunt Guyana a lot. I hope not for them, but this could haunt, because somehow they were behind in the game, but their best batsman struck form. Puran struck form in that match, and everybody was happy that okay, now Puran is in form. And you could see he got out when they needed around 20 runs of just few balls,
12 balls,
11
yeah.
balls. Okay. And at that time he was so disappointed. So you can really see Puran is trying a lot, and he really wanted to get this match, and he got going as well. So this was a good match for them to win. Paul was also ending quite well. He was playing a very good hand with Puran. Somehow Rutherford couldn't get going because Chemar Holder bowled so well in the last over, and the second last one by Kesrick Williams was also good. So their fast bowlers also, I think they took confidence from the spinners, and they bowled really well to Guyana in the end, because Guyana, they were winning in the end, and this match could have really given them a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I think they were on track if you look at the last 3 overs, they were probably expecting themselves to win, backing themselves to win. But then they lost Kemo Paul first, then Puran, and then Rutherford in each of the overs. And that actually just broke down their chase.
Yes.
So, Manju, any comments on Holder?
Yeah, it was good to see Chemar Holder play. He looked impressive. And I think if he gets more games, he will still further improve his death bowling aspect. That is one thing which he will want to improve, because currently, even in the national side, once Bravo finally hangs up the boots, there won't be anyone else to do that role. So both these Naeem Young and Chemar Holder are prospects for the future.
Yeah, and Sammy, even though not performing, his captaincy looks decent.
Yes.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Never a fault on his captaincy, actually. It's basically that he's on the park. That's a big thing after all his injuries.
Yeah, not bowling, and I think batting also he's not really done much, but
yes,
he's just contributing with his captaincy.
Because Justin Langer told Tim Payne once when he became captain that just worry about your captaincy tactics, because whatever runs you score are a bonus, and concentrate on the keeping. So maybe for Sammy, the management has similar plans. I think,
Yeah, and I think Zooks don't want to let him go. They want to keep him as an ambassador.
Right.
two-time World Cup winning captain. I also want to mention Andy Flower. He was a very good coach for England, and I was just hoping that he will start coaching some franchises. I
Right.
thought he'll come to IPL soon, but he hasn't till now. But now he's with Zooks. So I
Yeah.
think he also has a great influence on Zooks. And Zooks after this match, they've started looking favorites.
Yes.
Yeah. Second favorites maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We're not considering TKR.
Yeah.
Right.
So then the next match was Barbados versus St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. So I think this was the first win for St. Kitts, I think. So they
Yes.
were actually able to chase down above par score put up by Barbados. Uh, Again, Barbados were 150, made 151 with Corey Anderson finally making some amount of runs, and Hope giving his usual contribution. And but it was mostly a two-man show for St. Kitts, where Lewis uh, actually made 89 from 60, took them to almost the finishing line. Then Dunk's role was also important because
Yes.
it became very close at the end, and he was able to just hold on to his composure and take them home. So, any comments from you?
John Russ Jagisar bowled well. It's the first time I saw that this is an off spinner who is bowling predominantly carom balls on middle and leg. So it was very difficult for these guys to hit him on the over the cow corner or the onside. So that strategy worked for him in this game. But after that, it somehow hasn't. He's not got it together.
Yeah. And actually, Ramdeen uh, also supported in the chase, though it is a questionable thing that he made 20 of 32 balls.
Yeah.
But his role was also critical. And what I
Yes.
liked about Lewis' innings was that he was selectively targeting the bowlers. He was not going after every bowler. He had some targets in mind, and he actually went after those bowlers, and that actually proved the right strategy.
He took responsibility in that sense.
Yeah.
I'd like to comment on Corey Anderson. See, this match was his chance because after I see this scorecard, he got going in this match, uh, and probably he was disappointed to get out on 31. Um, St. Kitts has mostly fast bowlers, so so he really relished on that. And otherwise, Corey Anderson is struggling. Holder is shielding him by coming ahead of Anderson when spinners are bowling. So the teams sooner or later are going to dominate Corey Anderson because they've got so many spinners, and don't think he's all that comfortable right now against spinners.
So let's move to the next match quickly. So match 12 was Guyana Amazon Warriors versus Jamaica, and this was actually a very similar match as they had a few days back, where Guyana was not able to score a lot of runs. They folded for 108 in 20 overs, and nobody really came to the party for them. The entire top, middle, everyone failed. Ross Taylor made a 23, and Puran made a 15. And then there was a late flourish from Naveenul Haq, who made 20 runs. But this time Jamaica was able to actually chase it down, and they had good contributions from Philip, Blackwood, Bonner, and Russell. So I think combined effort from them, and they were actually able to uh, finally chase down that total. So big positive from them in the bowling department, as usual, was Mujib, Lamichane, and even Edwards. So all three bowled well, and then for the first time they were able to actually capitalize on that good bowling and chase down the total. So any comments, Manju?
Yeah, Mujib and Sandeep, they bowled 8 overs for barely anything, like 23 runs and 4 wickets. Mujib has bowled a maiden. So this is again showing, keeping with the trend of how spinners are ruling the CPL so far, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abe, anything you would like to point out?
Yeah, so same point. Edwards getting, I think this was the match when Edwards got Brandon King first ball. So Guyana, I think Jamaica should have won this match. And also Naveen ul Haq, very impressive. I think Afghanistan have also got another find for future because he gives his best both while he's bowling as well as when he's batting.
Yeah. Great. So
Naveen reminds a little bit of Javagal Srinath in the 89-90s. Like
Okay.
he has very long, slender arms, and every ball is coming in. But then he has a leg cutter from there, so that is his variation. It's
Hmm.
interesting. I think he'll definitely, if he adds a couple of yards of pace, he'll develop into a very good fast bowler.
True. So we moved to match 13, which was amongst the table toppers, St. Lucia versus TKR. And this was a rain curtailed match. Duckworth Lewis came into place. And I think it became, in the end, quite easy for Trinbago. So I think St. Lucia were a little unlucky there because Nabi was actually giving them that late flourish, and if the rain had not come, it would have been a 140, 145 kind of a game where they might still have had a chance. So
Probably,
probably, but
yeah, probably.
because TKR's batting is actually everybody is firing, so maybe they would not have still won it, but yeah, a better chance than just having 9 overs and TKR not really worrying about getting all out and just could have they did it easily in the end.
Also, a good landmark for Dwayne Bravo. He got to 500 wickets in
Yeah,
2020 game. So it'll be memorable for TKR and Bravo.
surely.
Yeah, and after that, he's given a interview saying that 40 is the new 30. So he considers that age is not a factor when it comes to franchise T20, and he
Yeah.
says that it's only those if you keep yourself fit, then definitely you back a 40-year-old player over a 30-year-old. So
So it is
yeah,
in line with the CSK strategy.
yes.
So we'll move to next. So this was match 14, Barbados versus Jamaica. And Barbados actually batted first, made a 148 for 7 in 20 overs. And Myers was the standout performer for them. He made 85 out of those 148 runs. And small contributions from Santner and Holder, 20 and 15. So 148 was a decent score. Again, Mujib and Lamichhane were the standout bowlers for Jamaica, but their batting again could not stand up and deliver, and the entire top order again failed. And I think they were without Russell in this match, so that was also a big factor that there was nobody to give that last few overs boost to them. So I think they did not really have a chance here uh, once their batting started. Power play score was 26 uh, in the first 6 overs. So and lost 4 wickets in the first 7 overs. So I think they didn't stand a chance after that.
Right. I think both sides disappointed in their batting. Honestly, they both the sides are very brittle, and it's just due to sheer brilliance of Myers that Barbados scored. They scored 150 because it was. I think Barbados scored 150, and Myers just made sure that he doesn't give a wicket to Mujib and Sandeep. Rashid Khan was also promoted in this match at number 5. Many were happy with that,
Hmm.
but he just
Yeah.
hold out to Sandeep.
Yeah.
So this was a good match for Barbados, but they were lucky. Myers was was on song. He took Brathwaite to cleaners.
Yeah. So, Manju, anything to add?
Yeah, Sandeep is making a very strong case for Delhi Capitals squad. So
Yeah.
I think he's given the management a happy headache. Like now they have to only find 3 overseas spots because in this form it is very difficult to leave out Sandeep from a team. So I think he's becoming the first name you write on the team sheet for DC.
Yeah. And he's giving
Yeah.
them some runs also. So that is also
Yes.
a
Yes.
positive that he is not
Positive
just a
thing. Yeah.
baller. So you can expect
Yeah.
some 10-15 runs if required from him.
Right.
So let's move to the next uh, 15th match, Kitts versus St. Kitts versus St. Lucia. So this was more of a one-sided kind of an encounter. St. Kitts folded for 110, which was a below par score, and with St. Lucia's good batting. So again, 110 major contribution from Nabi, took 5 wickets in 4 overs. So I think he broke their backbone while they were batting. So a low score, and then St. Lucia were able to actually chase it down quite easily. Good contribution from Chase again, 27, and then Najibullah also made 33 runs. So it was a one-sided kind of a thing only. So anything to add, guys?
No, it's a similar
Yeah.
story.
Nabi was very good in this game.
Yeah, Nabi.
Yeah. So it was a conventional off spinner's delight, like his spell. He
Hmm.
had everything. He had Lynn Foxed with a ball which dipped on him. Similarly, he had a man caught on the square leg boundary. So
Hmm.
he showed all his tricks in this game, and actually took me back to the World Cup game against Afghanistan, which India just managed to scrape through.
Hmm.
So in that he bowled a ball to KL Rahul, which actually dipped, and KL Rahul tamely cut it to point and was out.
Yeah.
So that kind of guy, he can mess up the timing with his subtle variations. So definitely he's been the jackpot for them. I don't think Shoaib Malik would have achieved this much in his place. So
Yeah.
it's a good
Mhm.
for the Zooks what happened.
I'd like to comment on this point as well. Actually, Nabi is 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 being a match winner for Zooks, whereas Rashid Khan has not yet been a match winner for Barbados Tridents.
Yes.
And that's a big factor, I feel, if you see the fortunes of both teams till now. Uh, of course, Rashid is a bigger match winner in general, but Nabi is really proving he's being the difference for St. Lucia Zooks this time.
Yeah, and that puts him in a direct contention for that spot in SRH,
Yes.
which was actually a debatable thing that either Allen or him should
Hmm.
play. But I think he's proving to be the first choice for SRH now.
Yeah, now I dare to say, but it's actually all the two spots, all three of them could be in contention. Probably I'm wrong, but Rashid hasn't lit up CPL yet.
Yeah.
Huh. But they don't really. I don't think they have an option to not play
Right.
Rashid there, because
Mm.
otherwise also their bowling is not really up to the mark this season. So they need those bowlers like Bhuvi to again come into form, and then Khalil also to perform. So they would be dependent on Rashid to give them that safe 4 overs every match.
Mm. Probably it's about the pitches. They're very slow and low, and Rashid probably thrives on
Bounce.
wickets which have some bounce, as you said.
And
Yeah.
one more issue with Rashid is what they have seen is from his, if you see the stellar seasons he had for SRH, 2016 and 17, at that time he was getting the ball more up to the bat, like between 6 and 8 meter mark, and he has become a bit short of late. So now, is that because of some he's fatigue, or is it just that he's not in rhythm? So we'll have to see. So on song, Rashid is definitely, you can't drop him from the team. So
Yeah, and
But
of course, I'm not starting that debate right now, but
right.
it's just going on my mind.
Yeah, and SRH is one side which makes a lot of tactical selections. Like they have had Bipul Sharma, Deepak Huda, who are just passengers who field well, take an important wicket and retreat away. 1 over they come, then they come in the end for 2 overs and finish a game. So definitely Nabi is there, a cushion who can definitely do that each game. So,
Hmm.
Surely, surely. So the last match was uh, Guyana versus Trinbago. So this was again Guyana actually folded for a below par score, 112 runs. So again, the same story for them. Their openers are failing again and again, and the middle order is also quite inconsistent. Uh, so this time only Hetmeyer was able to perform. Chemo Paul, late middle order, gave them some runs, and then Taylor also chipped in for 26. So a below par score. I think the bowling was quite good for TKR. Uh, Tight bowling. Pollard also actually got a wicket, and he was really pumped up because there was an LBW that was not given the previous ball. So, and then while chasing, it was the same old story that their batting is good enough to chase down such scores. So there was no uh, real threat in terms of uh, that they would not be able to chase it down. So any
Right.
thoughts?
I do you guys think that Guyana is losing too many tosses? I thought so. At least whenever I have seen Chris Green come for the toss, he's lost it and
yeah,
he's had to bat
they don't
first, and
have
everybody
the.
wants to bowl.
They are not having. Yeah, they are not having the rub of the green, I think.
Yeah, for that matter, I just observed that. Uh, Also, very interesting comment which I heard while watching the match. You guys will like it also because Guyana has this battery of left-handed uh, attacking batsmen. Teams are actually recruiting a lot of off spinners in their sides. So Trinbago recruited Sikandar Raza for this particular purpose. So as soon as they play Guyana, he comes into the side to bowl to the left-handed batsman. And also he had a couple of wickets also in this match. So quite interesting for me to see that how teams are uh, trying to strategize against each other.
Yeah, it's a. I think with analytics coming into play and Trinbago, KKR, the entire setup is actually known for being maybe the early adopters of analytics. So
Right.
they have actually scouted on the basis of that and match strategies as well. So I think that is clearly being shown here.
Hmm. And Guyana's weaknesses, uh, toss is something out of their control. They could have been lucky in that and could have had some results on their way. But being one-dimensional, all attacking left-handed batsmen, if you see Rutherford, um, Hemraj, uh, Hetmeyer, Puran,
Puran, yeah.
so it's only Taylor in middle, so it's affecting them.
Yeah. So this is the table as it stands now. So I think TKR and St. Lucia seem like sure shot next round teams, but other places are still up for contention, I think. So let's see who can actually get their act together and uh, win. So each team would actually need at least 2 wins or at least to pass to the next round. But three would actually make it certain that they'll go. So Barbados, Guyana, and Jamaica. So they need to actually start pulling up their socks and start winning regular matches now. So any predictions from you guys that who do you think that will be able to get their act together?
See, if Jamaica play well, they have a good chance of making the final four, because they are one team who have one of the best middle orders in the tournament. So like with that middle order, if you're struggling to qualify, then definitely needs help. So
Yeah.
I really hope they play better. I think their batsmen have to be accountable, and whatever work the bowlers are doing, they should back it up, because the like two spinners are bowling 8 overs for 30 runs, 25 runs, and still you are losing the game. It's very bad, to say the least.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Abhay, your thoughts?
I think uh, Talava's same comments from my side as well. It will be quite a surprise to see them come second last in the tournament, but I think the table will remain the same.
Hmm.
It could change because Tridents, Amazon Warriors, they aren't playing that well either. But I somehow have a feeling that Talavas have got bigger problems to solve. Because they've got good middle order, as Manju said, and also they've got a strong set of bowlers.
Hmm.
So it will be a surprise, but maybe the table will remain like this
Hmm.
come qualifiers.
Probably.
So nice point made by Abhay actually, that the team dynamics actually plays such an important role, that you might have good players on paper, but if you're not gelling well, and if the team environment is not that good, so even those players will not be able to perform well. And that Jamaica, I think, is a good example of that.